Hello everyone. It's my shows where I have it on my phone. Let's try that again. Hello everyone. It is my second stream and I have some new equipment, as you can see here. And I'm hoping that the recording and the quality of the stream is going to be a little bit better than last time. As you can see, I have a whole new setup, logo, very fancy, rendered in Max. And I'm going to start us where we left off last stream with the two-story house that we were working on and continue where we were from there. Hopefully this time you'll be able to see all the extra panels like the settings and the render buffer, etc. Because that was embarrassing. We're going to be using 3ds Max and Corona again, and we're going to do a bit of furniture modelling as well, just to kind of make a start on that, start populating the scene, and we'll see where we get to. I'm going to do the stream for 2 hours today, just so we can get a bit further. And yeah, let's see how it goes. And just so you know, it went pretty bad because this is the Render Witch in the future talking to you. And that lady down there in the right hand side of the screen has no idea that for the next, say, half an hour or so, her mic is completely muted. That's right, 100% muted. So she's going to be talking away in the corner there, and I'm going to talk over the top. And we're just going to make the most of it. Potentially the next stream we're going to have more of this OBS stuff figured out, but for now we're going to have to make some mistakes, hopefully learn from them, and figure it out as we go along. So as you can see here, we've got that old scene that we were working on open, and I think I was going to go over the render settings that I had and the camera settings that I had, because that didn't show up properly last time. So I've just opened up the render settings and put on my interactive, just to show you where we got to last time. We had that nice contrast in the directional light to the very flat on symmetrical view of the like 1 point perspective of the scene that we have there. And I was just showing that in the tonal mapping I had taken off simple exposure and I had put on my photographic exposure. And that is important because the way that I light things so very, very quickly is that I barely adjust the light. I adjust it a little bit, but not very much. And I just rely on those photographic settings that are based on real photographic settings to work it out. Oh, look at the past me in the corner there. So sad. But as you are learning how to do visualization, modeling, or even anything else that you're trying to learn in your life, I am learning how to do this. And it's not going to be perfect straight away. So as you can see here, I had found some furniture that I'd liked before I started streaming, and I thought this was really interesting because choosing pieces that inspire you and with your own aesthetic is one of the wonderful things that you can do with a personal project. I sometimes forget what I like because I'll be spending so much time making other people's visions come to life and all the thought and stuff that goes into that I forget what I like. But as you can see here, I'm just trying to download the reference of this gorgeous table and struggling because in F12 on a website you can come up with all the sources and you can usually download the JPEG from here, but this one is not allowing me to. So I end up just doing a screenshot of it, which is also valid. It's valid. Yeah, even looking back, future witch to past witch, I actually still really like this table. I hadn't usually as well, what you'll do as well is you would come up with design first and concept, and you have mood boards and stuff, and where I'm kind of more trying to teach techniques and workflows and pipelines, I have not done any of those things. So it's going to be really interesting in future sessions with this personal project to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of the space. Which is only just occurring to me now. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll figure it out. And if anyone has any suggestions or anything they think I should model or do for the next project, then it will be great to hear what you think. Okay, so that reference has been saved, so I can add it to the stream. Not the stream. To the Max session that I'm going to open in order to create this table. Yep, still rocking that free trial because I'm not using my work version of Max. It is weird not using the setup that I have on my work computer. Everything's fresh, everything's on my own PC, so there's a lot of things like plugins and what have you that I haven't quite gotten around to putting in place, or settings that I haven't quite tweaked, and I'm having to kind of adjust those on the fly, you might say. Okay, fresh new Max session. Okay, so here's where future Render Witch can talk about what an idiot past Render Witch is, and what I was talking about before, which is we haven't got everything set up as we want it to. Now, I usually have a copy paste function put in when I right click my mouse, and that means I can copy something from one scene very easily and paste it into another. And I usually have to download a script in order to do that, and then you assign it in your custom settings to that. But I'm going to get very frustrated by the fact that, one, I haven't downloaded that script, and two, in 2026 the customized user interface has been split into different panels, and this is where I'm going to get very annoyed with the fact that I don't know how the new UI works. And I'm gonna give up on that. Look at the face, eyebrows expressing everything. Okay, I think we're gonna give up on it just after I click save here. What are you gonna do? That's what I mean, nothing's streamlined, really, in the work practice. Scenes crash. You jump on someone else's computer and they don't have things set up the same way you do. It's a nightmare. Some passwords. I know, it's very annoying. It just goes to show I didn't set this up properly. So annoying. I'm going to say that a lot. I'm probably going to say that far more than I should. Okay, right. Back to 3D. Okay, so again, she has no idea when she's talking in that frame that no one can hear her otherwise. So I'm using Sinai here because I got frustrated with the copy paste function, and there is a copy paste function in Ignite from Sinai. And the funny thing is I have quite a personal bond to Sinai. I used to live with one of the directors of Sinai. I used to work for the other one as well, which is quite funny. But I used to live with one of the directors of Sinai, and he begged me to use this software. And I was like, no, I haven't got time to learn something new. And then eventually when I moved out and lived with my partner, I started using it, and I had to apologize because I was like, actually, do you know what? This is pretty good. And so I have to, the whole suite of Sinai stuff is actually really good. And that is my personal story about Sinai. So if you ever do listen to this, Josh, I'm sorry. You were right, and you worked very hard, and it's very good. Okay, so what you can see me doing here, just to catch you up on what's happening on screen, is I'm now building the table from the reference that I've copied over from the other scene, and merging in the reference that I downloaded from the website so I can have it next to what I'm building. And the thing is that there is a wide lens on the image, and it's not perfect, but having it in frame whilst modeling it is still going to help us. So I am just going into my external hard drive, which I have lovingly named my side piece, and finding that image that we have downloaded. And I don't want to ruin the illusion, but I have been naming things like that JPEG. But in reality, I am the worst offender for not naming anything. It's all box 570 and image ZQW. Okay, so I've applied that image to my plane, and then I'm going to add a UVW map. Complaining about the UI again down there. And then what I'm going to go down and do is I'm going to do a bitmap fit. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep the image proportional to the JPEG that has been plugged in. So you see, I did it. Clicked image bitmap fit. I'm going to select that same image, and you see how it's like taking out all the squishiness to it. So it's proportional to what is applied. Okay, get that in the right place so we can actually reference it, and then I'm gonna scale it to what I'm doing. Yeah, there you go. Okay, press G, turn off that grid mode. At some point I am going to get one of those plugins that show what shortcuts I'm using, what keys, because a lot of it is muscle memory. Okay, so now we are getting on to modelling. Actually doing some modelling, not faffing about. But we're going to be using a technique that is not normally the first technique people use, but sometimes I find it the better technique to use for more complicated things. So usually what you do is you start off box modelling, but I'm going to show a technique here. It's called plane modelling. And I learned this technique of modelling from a lady in the industry. She actually runs her own podcast called The Inflection Point, and she's very talented. Her name's Michelle. She's really nice. And I'll put a link to her podcast in the description. Okay, so I have now stretched this plane over my model, and you can see I'm trying to fit it to the reference that I have on the side. And I've got my guides on my box, so I can also see where that kind of proportionately will sit. And I'm just getting the rough shape because I have so few points. And the thing people do when they're first learning how to model, they keep adding lines and they keep adding vertices, and they think that the more points and lines and edges and whatever, the more control they have. But actually, the less you have, the more control you have, because we're going to rely on the modifier called turbo smooth at the end. And that's going to add those points, but it's going to average out between the points and smooth everything in a much more natural way, I want to say. It's hard to explain, but I think once you start seeing the results, you'll understand. So what I'm doing here is I'm making sure everything stays in quads. And a quad is a four-sided shape. And we want everything to be in quads. Now, there is some argument for triangles, but for what we do, quads are good. And by starting with a quad and then extruding out the edges and evenly applying connections, we can make sure that no matter what we're modeling, we're keeping that shape. Bless you. Oh, and bless you again. Okay, we're going to carry on modeling? Cool. Right. She's going. Okay, so everything is looking pretty even. And we'll keep referencing back to the original image and using our lines. And then we're going to go down into top view. And as I said, this is where we are going to use our guides. So we've added more guides so we can see how wide we want that back piece to be. So select all and then deselect the guide. And then I've moved that further in, and I've selected the back edge there. Yeah, there we go. Finished, got it. And we're going to press shift, hold it down, and extrude it out. Then we're going to go and grab our pivot tool and move that to that edge there. And the reason we want to do that is because that is where we're going to do our symmetry from. You would find, the longer you've been doing this, that you are only as strong as your modifiers. The more things you know in your modifier panel, the more efficient you can work. So there's a lot of things that I don't know what they do in here because I just haven't had the time to do research and development and keep up with every single new version of Max and what new features that they have. But I do know that that would probably be something that would really help me in the long run, and probably something I need to work at more. So coming back to what we're doing here, we're now starting to create a shape with the symmetry. So I only have to work at one side of it. And when I put the turbo smooth on, it's smoothing that shape out and filling in that base shape. So I'm starting to get that curved look of the reference. But it's not affecting all the areas, and that's because with planes, it doesn't always do that correctly. So what I'm putting there, or what I'm going to do once I've just turned off some settings on my computer, is I'm going to add a shell in there. Any second now, I'm going to do that. Yeah, there you go. So that's added some thickness. And the turbo smooth works a lot better when your object has some thickness, because otherwise it won't smooth out the edges in the best manner. There's a bit of inconsistency when it's working with just a singular plane. Okay. So we're going to start refining up this shape now. Yeah. And you can see it a bit clearer there. So, whilst past Render Witch is going to be having a look at this and refining out the shape, there's not really much I can talk about the technique, because mostly this is now just refinement of the bases that we already have there. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got into the industry. And the funny thing is that it wasn't love initially of the industry that got me to work in it. It was originally that in my country, the fee structure of university was going to be changing, and I needed to make sure that I could go to university on the actual degree without taking a foundation course, so I could miss out on the year that the fees would go up. The only course that would take me for animation without having to do a group degree and just based on my artwork, because I changed my mind about what I wanted to do really close to when I needed to go to university. I wanted to do fashion originally, and then I did an internship in fashion, and I realised I hated everyone, so I wanted to go and learn how to make video games. So I went to a course, and it was digital animation, and then I think it was in my second year I got told I had zero aptitude for 3D, and that I should just get through the course by just doing concept art. And I went to a lesson program of teaching 3D outside of the university, because I wasn't gonna let them tell me what I could or couldn't do, you know. I'm very stubborn. And then when I was there, I met someone who liked the fact that I could string a sentence together and was very polite, and he asked if I wanted to come and start a visualization department at his company, and I said yes. And then I went home and I looked up what a visualiser did, and then I started work on the Monday. I think I lasted like 6 months or something, but it got me into the industry that I wanted, and I'm happy about that. You know, I haven't looked back. Oh, so back to what we're doing on the screen. I can see that I'm just showing edge constraints here, so I want to move the vertices up and down edge that's at an angle. So what I've gone and done here in the edit geometry, I've made sure that it's stuck to edges, so I can slide the vertices up and down on that edge constraint, and it just means that I'm not having to like wiggle things around and things stay a bit neater. And I'm just trying to move the vertices out so the flow runs a bit better, so I'm trying to spread it out so the distance between the vertices is a lot more equal, and you can see I'm just moving away that tightness of those edges, and you're going to see this like loosen up and look a lot more neater as I work this through. Yeah, you can see there, it looks so much neater, and it's those little things that make a big difference to your models at the end of the day, because you might think it doesn't make a difference, but when light hits things, especially the simpler objects, you will be able to tell the smoothness of an object. It will look much more realistic, much more, especially if something that's manufactured like plastic, what have you. It doesn't have like wiggles when the light hits it, so things need to be made properly, and that's where good edge flow and good geometry comes in. So as you can see here, I'm just making sure that everything is level and neat and checking over everything before I start moving the pivot point over, so I can mirror the object. Not symmetry, it's mirroring, because we're mirroring a whole object. It's not within the object that we're mirroring geometry or the element. We're going to mirror the object, keeping it instance. I think I'm going to make a mistake here. I'm going to choose copy. And then I think I'm going to realize my mistake and how much more work I'm making for myself once I lower the guides. So I'm going to delete that. And then, yeah, we're gonna instance it. So instance, if you don't know what that means, it means that when I move one of the items with the vertices or what have you, it moves the same points on the other item. So that's really useful if, say, you've got a lot of lights within a scene, geometry in a scene, like I don't know, say lampposts or something, and then you realize you modeled it incorrectly. If they're instance, it means that when you change one, you change the other. You can see here I left the edge constraints on. I do it all the time. I think everyone does, unless you're a genius, but you know, I definitely do. Anyway, back to my lamppost analogy. Yeah, so you're going to want to make sure items like that are instance, and also it actually saves memory when you're rendering, going around your scene, if things are instance, so just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so I'm just going in and just checking from all the points, because having the other piece there is also giving me context to how they fit together, and I can get a much better idea when I'm adjusting them, because I can now kind of see it as one whole piece, really refine and how they're going to interact with each other. I'm even looking there to see the highlight, and I'm checking that and how it bends in comparison to the straightness of the one on the reference. And again, you start looking for those clues everywhere, and it's really important to kind of take in those details. I mean, I'm more of a big picture person. I definitely say that I like blocking things out, and there are some people there that they can really focus on the details and get things so precise. I think I'm much better at the kind of initial blocking stage. Okay, here what I'm doing is I'm showing how I want to create this at an angle, these sides. But you don't want to just like move the vertices one by one. You want to like move it as a whole so that everything stays an equal distance from each other. So I'm going to grab those, and rather than move them, I'm going to rotate them. There you go. It looks a bit better. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. I think this is the thing, when you start watching this and you see the process that goes into making things correctly and how long it takes and the considerations that goes into it, you start to see that the love that you have to kind of put into these projects and the time and like thoughtfulness. And when you're rushed, mistakes happen, and that's where we have to be careful when working on projects, because clients want things fast. We want things fast, but we also want things good, and so it's always going to be striking that balance. Like, where is my time best spent? Because sometimes if you need to get a finished product out, sometimes it's good to use a freelance modeler in order to get things done in a timely manner, and you've got to weigh that up with the cost of your project and the deadlines, and you know how much you're charging, and that's really, really important. It's an aspect of the job that I don't think is thought about, but when you start kind of getting it out of those junior roles, it's good to start thinking about the bigger picture, about how you run 3D and visualization as a business. Okay, now we're moving on to the easy bit, which is the table top, and I'm just going to show how that turbo smooth, the very all-powerful Turbo Smooth. Long live Turbo Smooth. Praise be. How we keep everything in quads again. So there's the chamfer tool for the edges, and some people would chamfer these edges and forget that then we're left with an n-gon again, an any numbered shape on the top. And we don't want that, because when we apply things like Turbo Smooth, etc., we end up with really weird geometry. We don't end up with clean geometry. So we want to use, again, like just continuous lines. And if we do the connection tool, then we're going to end up with continuous lines. So I'm going to undo that. Well, I guess after showing potentially where that's going to go wrong. And yeah, there you go. You can see how that's just gone completely kerfuffled. That's why you don't want n-gons. Get rid of that, and yeah, back to the basics. Okay, cool. We're gonna connect up those lines. Getting continuous connections is gonna just make your life so much easier. Remember that. Place 2 of these. We want to keep it symmetrical, and then the further away lines are, the smoother they'll become, and the closer they are, the sharper they'll become. So you can see there I had the lines just far enough away that it's created that curve for us without us having to do any chamfering or anything. How to apply this stuff eventually just becomes second nature, and what tools that you're going to need to use. And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to model something and not be able to model it for a whole day, and then you're going to stop it, and you're going to come in the next day, start doing it again, and it's just going to be so obvious. Another thing that happens all the time is when you are modeling something and then you get comments and you need to adjust that model, and sometimes it's easier to start a model from scratch with certain adjustments than it is to try and edit the one that you already have. And that's just something to keep in mind. Sometimes doing it from scratch is faster. I know it sounds weird, but you'll understand. Eventually you understand. You'll have that particular project that you're doing, and you'll be like, oh yeah, no, I see that she was right. Because sometimes you overcomplicate it when you're just editing. Okay, that's looking good. We didn't have a top down of this table really, so I think we're just doing it to what I think looks good. And so I'm just getting that to how I want it to be. I'm just kind of checking out my reference and going back. Ooh, it looks like Muggins down there is going to realise that her audio is off soon. So I think this is future Render Witch saying goodbye. And please be kind to her when she does start talking. She is going to feel very embarrassed, and she'll appreciate a bit of consideration, a bit of kindness. So future Render Witch out.
My God, I have been talking the entire time without sound.
Hello? Can you tell me if I have sound now? I could die. Dutch cheese lady, tell me I have sound now. I am the worst at this. Oh my God. Okay. Well, just so everyone knows, I was hilarious the entire time that I was doing this. Without sound. Okay, right. I'm going to just continue from where I was. Okay, coffee. And I'm going to move this over to my other scene. And because that was in the same place as when I copied over the reference, it goes right into where I want it to. And then I can just delete this reference box, which is cool. I'm going to do the same for a chair. But the thing we have different now with this job, I'm going to do it just to seat height, is... So let's do 400. Okay, so let me just check what my seat height is. So, because standard measurements, they're very important, and you should know them. You should know standard measurements off the top of your head. Seat height, dining chair. I want UK to 500. 500. Okay, so does that mean my dining table's too low then? That will be it. So I should know this off the top of my head. But yeah, my dining table's too high. So let's lower this, which is actually really easy to do. So I know it's 900. So see, now I'm just fried. I've been talking to myself like a crazy person for ages. So 900 minus 250. There we go, that looks better. So embarrassing. I was talking for all that time. No one was listening. I'm just gonna grab both of these. I'm learning. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna do an FFD. Oh no, we do have the larger sizes here, but I'm just gonna do a regular one here because if I just chuck my pivot point down the bottom here, and then that means I can just, always does that, it's really annoying, scale it to here. Cool. And then when I move around, yeah, we're a little bit chonky now, so this is not a perfect way of doing it, but I have got my seat heights wrong. Okay, cool. So that means when I do my interactive, this will be in here now. As you can see, they've now popped up, which is awesome. Okay. Put that into the middle there, and then I don't have my copy function, I'm gonna go in here and copy with cyanide into, we'll just use the same scene. We don't need any of this now. And I'm gonna paste in here. Chair. Okay, So one of the things I've got is this dining chair up, and the difference between the dining table, where we only had a picture reference and then we kind of made it work with our own dimensions, is that we've got a lot of references here, which is great, as well as a PDF. And on the PDF you can see that we've got some dimensions, which is awesome, as well as this, which means that we're going to have a much easier time of modeling this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these references again, and I'm going to go like this. I can actually save it this time save it into my side piece. Dining chair. Again, shocking everyone who knows me that I'm naming things. Okay. Again, usually I would have the image on the other side and I'd be able to do this, but I'm going to do it this time in the same screen, doing it the old school way. I'm going to just replace this same material that I set up and put it in with the chair reference. I'm still just dying over the fact I didn't have any sound. And you know why? It's because I put it to mute the sound of that in the background when he was having a Kong. Yeah. He's having his Zoomier clocks. Okay. It's frozen, which is good. Okay, cool. There. Okay. Right. Can you see this? Okay, right. Oh. Render Witch and her companion. Some form of escape. Yes, I see you, my love. Okay, I'm back. And let's go back to the 3D. It was a nice little break. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it? I enjoyed it. Cool, right, so that bitmap is now on there. And I'm going to do the same thing, where I'm going to make sure that it's not stretched. So I'm going to go UV map, bitmap fit, okay. And now the difference is that here we actually have some way to measure this, which is good. So I'm going to do it to this first, and I'm going to scale out. So we've got 550. No, 550. Yep, and we've got 470. Okay, and that'll be 550 because I'm looking at this one here. Cool. So that means that this needs to be scaled down to match what we have here. Okay, cool. That's about right. So I'm going to replace this because this is in the right place, this box, to our dining table, so that makes our lives a bit easier. And I'm going to put this here, and then I can have a look here, make sure that's in the right place. Okay, amazing. I'm going to delete this one now. Did I get rid of my reference? No. Okay. Delete. There we go. Don't know why that button wasn't working. Cool. And then I'm going to just have a look at this. So I'm going to do this with box modeling. So last time we did plain modeling, this time we're going to do box modeling. But what we're going to make sure that we do is we're going to put symmetry on this and try and make our lives a bit easier. And again, the aim of the game is to use as little geometry as possible to get the same effect. Okay, so it's 450, 470 to the height there. Ah, wait, so that means that's 470 is the height of the seat, so I need to actually adjust this a little bit more. So that would be that. And then that, yeah, cool. Okay, so I'm going to put symmetry on this. And I want symmetry to be just along the axis, so that when I go in here and I add my polygon, okay, when I move this around, we still put edge constraints on. No. That's why. Oh, so stupid. Okay. You can see that that moves on both sides. So I'm going to model it in a way that makes sense. So let's pull all this in front. This is going to be a good start. I'm going to hide this for a second. So it looks like it goes in a little bit and then it has the curves on both sides. So what I want to make sure is that I get the general shape and then I fill that in. So it goes in a little bit, kind of like this. I mean, we still don't have DWGs. I don't have a top-down view, and that would be the thing that would make this super accurate. So we just have to go from what we know about the product, what we know about furniture in general, and how it kind of fits to the shape of people, and then we go from there. Put enough geometry in here so that I should be able to, at the top of my stack, is I'm going to put my turbo smooth up there, because we're working into the turbo smooth. We're letting that do all the work. There you go, at the very top. Cool. That's starting to give us what looks like a seat shape. And you can see here that this looks a lot thicker than this. This is collapsing a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ring. That's going to go all the way around. I'm going to go connect. Give it 2 divisions there. But again, I still want it to feel soft. So I don't want to stretch these all the way out to the edges there. I want to kind of keep them in a little bit just so that we create that softer edge. And then what I'm going to do, because do you see how that look feels a bit flat? There, like this is soft, this is cushioned, this is like padded out. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the side. These mid ones, and I'm going to put it out. And you see how that just curves that shape without me having to do too much. And again, I only have to do this front one, these two side ones, because I already have the turbo smooth on that's doing most of the work, and the symmetry. So I'm just going to have a look at the website and have a look at these reference images, because I just want to see how this connects here. Can you see how there's like the little divots there? And yeah, you see it has to like curve around this back piece. We've got a better one. I want to see more. Show me more. Show me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. Did you get burned? Oh, terrible song. Don't sing that. Okay, right. So there isn't something that shows us really in here. Let's have a look back at the PDF. Nope. Yeah. Why? I want to just see a close-up of the back piece and how it connects here, but I can't, so we're going to have to take our best guess from what we can take in. So it's going to go around this back piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that back piece, and then we're going to kind of blend it around. We blend it around. Blend it. And blend it. So I'm going to grab a box, and I'm going to create it to this back piece here. We've already kind of subdivided it in a good way. And then again, we don't have the proportions of this, so we've kind of made this image proportionate, so we're going to just go via that. And then once the whole thing is together, we can like reassess it and put it all back together again. Okay, cool. So let's have a look. I feel like I'm not doing the duty of what a streamer should do. I did not do any makeup. I washed my hair, which I think is pretty cool. But I did not necessarily, oh, I already have subdivisions there. Do anything to look good for this at all. But do you know what? This is what a visualizer looks like. It's not glamorous. But we get stuff done. Oh, saying that, it is actually glamorous if you are one of my friends who is one of the most gorgeous men I've ever met, and no one can carry a floral like he can. No one. Okay, my computer's starting to struggle here. It's going very slow. It doesn't like doing more than one thing. I'm going to go inside view, and I'm just going to reinforce these two. Do one at a time, because otherwise I bet they'll go in different directions. I have a delivery. Tea and biscuits. Thank you. Oh. Babe, guess who didn't have their mic on for most of this? Me? Huh? Ah. This is fun. This is fun. This is fine. This is fine. Okay, right. I'm going to go to the left and have a look at what I'm doing. Right. So once I pull this in here, you can see that kind of goes all the way down to the bottom there. And then it angles, because, you know, that's what they do. They sit angled. I'm going to just put my pivot point to the bottom there. Because again, if I start, I've got this reinforced here in the middles. And if I start moving the vertices around, let me just do it. So, give you an example. If I start trying to move this around manually to create this shape, there's no way I'm going to get that to look neat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this pivot point because I want it to be to the bottom here, but actually I want it to be a bit lower than that. You see this? And then once I move this to the bottom here, it will rotate from the bottom. Yeah, it doesn't need to be like exaggerated. I think that's about right. And then I can go back in here and continue. Oof. And the good thing about having rotated it like that is also, again, I need it to be a bit longer now. Because obviously I've pulled it down here, so it needs to be a bit longer. So what I can do now is I can actually stretch it from there, from this new pivot point. And then if I go here, it's by view, so you see that straight up and down. If I do that to the local, yeah, see how that's angled now with my shape? So now I can just stretch it from here and get it up to the right height. Put my turbo smooth on. Cool. And you can see that is now proportionate. I just want to see if this is wide enough is the only thing. So I'm gonna pull this all over here, instance it, and then rotate. Go back to the left hand side. And again, I know that people are probably screaming, being like, you could have done this, you could have done faster if you'd done this. But I'm doing it. And it gets done eventually. And that is what matters. Do you know what? I don't need these pieces here. I'm going to take these out because they're annoying me. Again, deleting lines is just the norm. And it's the better than adding a bazillion of them. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to widen them at the top here. You see that? I'm kind of creating that shape. Cool. And because this was the same here, do we have this at the back? I want to see this at the back now. Yeah, so I want that to be straight. I'm going to reinforce at the bottom here again. Show my cage. Cool. Ring. And then connect it at the bottom. And then just bring that down until that goes like that. Do you know what? I'm feeling kind of tired. I am embarrassed from my mic not having sound for half of this, and we have created one piece of furniture. I'm gonna stop the stream here. We're gonna pick up for another Witchy Wednesday next week, and we're going to continue, and we're going to hope that my streaming talents can at some point meet my 3D talents. Even close would be good. That'd be good, because this was hard. This was really hard. Being a streamer is like, actually, I'm going to put this onto just me for a second. Being a streamer is a lot harder than I thought it would. And I know that all things take time to learn. But it's given me a new respect for how hard it is. I'm glad I'm doing it with something I'm comfortable with. But, you know, all in all, 2 hours in total if we count the last stream and then this stream. Minus the OBS stuff and all that kind of thing. And we've got a table in our team. We've learned some modelling techniques. And do you know what? I'm going to count that as a win. So thank you very much for everyone for joining me again for the Render Witch stream. I hope you learned something, even if that is just that I can't do streaming stuff very well. But I'll get there. But just as I'm learning this streaming stuff, you can be learning some 3ds Max, and hopefully we'll all get there, you know, we'll all get better. And a lot of ums. We're going to get a lot of ums along the way as well. So next time we're going to try and do the 2-hour stream. This time we're going to stick to an hour, because quit wash your head, right? I appreciate you all so much, and thank you for joining me. I'll talk to you another time.